on projects. Like right now, I'm doing two. Would you guys want to extra credit if you can come and see me? It's like speak teacher payback, but I've got two presentations in March for Women's History Month. And so these different committees, they're like, every time we meet, they're like, we lead and we all have different action steps we're supposed to do. And so we'll do a brief briefing about like what's going on. So there are a couple policies that TCC is thinking about voting on. One of those is, because I think this is so weird, the construction crew doesn't want to deal with us as far as like foot traffic. So they're thinking about making a percentage of our classes online in the fall. And so my guess is that we're going to lose enrollment. Because like most of my students are like, the only reason I'm in school is I want to be here. I do not like online education, right? Do y'all miss taking classes online, or do y'all want to be physically here?
I'd rather be here.
You rather be here? Yeah, I feel the same way too. For me, I felt like teaching online was a little bit harder, and I felt like students had a harder time connecting too. Yeah, but when we go to these meetings, briefings, I make sure to pass that feedback on. I'm like, I don't care about a construction crew, like pick a different crew, right? We need our campus open.
Doesn't it really take that long?
Yeah, there was like, when they put up the fences, like when they were building this building, the moment the fences went up, there was like construction materials being dropped off the next day. When they put up these fences and nothing has happened, I was like, that's a bad sign. So they're basically making the argument there's too much foot traffic. We've got a COVID testing center. People are voting in the modules. And basically they're like telling TCC, like cut down your foot traffic, do a certain percentage of classes online so we can get the construction going.
I see.
The proposal don't be a bit.
I know.
You got time to do that.
Right. So like I make sure to pass that feedback up, Okay, these are just different reports you can do: status, final, investigative. We talked about an investigative report last time, they're investigating. And then feasibility reports, is this viable? Training is what I used to do, different trainings on like sexual harassment or like communication in the workplace. Those are all different trainings. Okay, I'm gonna skip this and talk more about topics, okay? Make sure you pick an informative topic. A lot of times students will try to do a persuasive for the informative, okay? So I'm gonna skip all this. You guys know, try not to plagiarize. Okay, this is where I wanna spend some time at. This is not in your book. It's the different categories to like brainstorm topics. We're about to brainstorm some. I wrote out the 5 Canons of Rhetoric, and we're going to use that for our organizational structure. So right now we're talking about topics, and we're going to do some brainstorming. That's all step 1, it's invention. When I passed out that outline and we annotated it, that was arrangement, that was organization, right? The outlining that you guys are going to have to do for this presentation. Style, memory, and delivery all deal with like your performance or actually presenting. So like right now we're on the first two steps, and I'm gonna add researching to the process too. Okay, let me show you my topics. Have you guys been writing down topics as you come across them?
Not really.
That's a no. No?
See what happens.
Okay. Make sure you look for topics. Topics do not fall from the sky. You're going to be stuck with it for a little bit too, so try to have some affinity for it. It'll decrease your nervousness if it's something you already know something about. See what I mean? So like if it's something that you enjoy, I do want the topics to be a little bit business orientated. So let me show you this. Okay. I'm going to call out a couple websites, but like if you go to one of those websites, it's going to be really generic topics, So try to narrow it down. Try to make them business related, They don't have to necessarily be about, a specific company. So these are too generic for me. I feel like all these would need to be narrowed down. Okay, here's some topics I got here early. Y'all know I'm a news junkie, so like there's a couple magazines I like. This one's one of my favorites. It's Wired. What was the topic about now? So this is where I would go. Like, if you have hobbies, like, you would go to where your hobbies are. Like, I'm a huge news junkie. Now that news is on a 24-hour cycle, I can get news from all over, whatever, right? So, but if news isn't your thing, I get it. You know, I had to get onto she's like my grandfather's cousin. I call her aunt, but she's my grandfather's cousin, you know? And she watches news. She's like in her 90s and she watches news all the time. So she's scared to leave the house. She feels like she's going to catch COVID and get knocked in the head. I was like, you've got to cut down how much news you're watching, you know? So, you know, sometimes it can be good or bad. Okay, there are apps that actually like help you at work. The best way to learn online. Here's another one about doorbell cameras. How many of you guys have doorbell Ring cameras? They're talking about them being used for security. So a lot of times when things will go down, you know, like we had to ask our neighbor for his camera footage. We had something happen at our house, but when I was watching one of the news shows, they were talking about the police had in downtown Fort Worth, there was a series of break-ins, and they used people's Ring cameras to catch the guy. So I don't know. It's like some things you don't think about, but they really come in handy. There's a bunch of topics on here. Did any of these get your attention?
The first one, driving while baked.
Oh yeah, driving while baked. Yeah. There's no scientific way to tell if you're stoned behind the wheel. That's a problem for police and you. So one company is aiming to fix that. I'm going to show you a speech. I had a student for an informative speech. She worked at a company that made breathalyzers. That was the most interesting speech ever. Now, if you would have asked me, do I want to hear a speech about breathalyzers? No, right? But she brought one in and brought in different mouthpieces, and she had us try like different wise tales about how to beat them or whatever. It was really interesting. The guy who drank the mouthwash, he blew higher the second time, so it was really interesting. One guy had been drinking before class, so when everybody blew like 0, 0, 0, and they got one person who did not blow a 0. I was like, you know, no judge. It was an afternoon class, right? So, but I could see like there being now tests to see if people are, you know, high and driving. So. I had a really good speech last semester too about those driving cars, which was kind of self-driving cars, which is interesting too, just the technology.
I don't trust.
There was one on here. Do good doorbell cameras make good neighbors? I mean, it's a really interesting article. I mean, in one way, you could see this as, you know, selling a product, but you know, to me, it's like a different take on a traditional topic. And then 6 apps that take the grind out of your workday. I don't know about you guys, but I have a friend that does IT. You know, like we both do like a lot of time on the computer. Maybe you guys do it when you study, but like you give yourself like a 5-minute social media break, or you know, a 5-minute TikTok break, whatever you do. But like there's all these apps, like during COVID, I didn't realize how much they can track us. So like Microsoft has this thing called Microsoft Insight. Like, and granted, guys, like my husband works for a company, they can tell what he clicks on, when he clicks on it. Like if his mouse doesn't move, the system will like send him an alert to go on break, right? So like, you know, I know that they could really be tracking us on a whole, you know, deeper level. But just as far as like TCC in general, I didn't know they could see as much as they could see. Like whenever our bosses send out an email, it tells them the percentage of like who read that email. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's interesting how much, you know, do you guys work with companies that track y'all? No. Okay. Yeah, to a certain degree.
Probably.
Yeah. So but honestly, I started out positive and then it went negative. But there are some apps, like there's two people up here that use those relaxation apps too. You know, for meditation, you can walk by their offices. You'll hear, or like I was sitting next to someone in a meeting on Friday, and their watch themed, and it was a mindfulness, alert or whatever. Okay, so there's one of my topics. Oh, this one I love, because I'm not like this anymore, but like if I could have my way, I would be a total night owl. Is anybody else like me? Yeah, I could do it. Like I really do. I have a friend that works nights, because they want that. She's a nurse and she wants that differential, pay. They get paid more. So it's the whole idea that there's basically it's the whole idea that like work is changing, and that there's a whole group of like introverts or people who just like that psychological switch. I thought that article was really interesting about like careers that basically, are nocturnal. So anybody stalk at night? Stalk? No?
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Y'all are so bad. I'm talking about like work at like a distribution center or like a store or,
And like stock shelves.
stock shelves, yeah.
I want you
Yeah,
understand.
Yeah.
Oh, night stalking, not night stalking.
But we've got one student worker that comes in super early. Like the doors here don't even open till 6:30, but they'll, like I can always tell when he's been here because like all the cans are facing, like he'll go in and he'll like zone the shelves out there. So like all the shelves, all the cans are facing the right way. It's kind of creepy though, because like when I get there at 8 and everything is like done, So, but like different hours for different people. Any topic that deals with like how work is changing, I think would be good, So, and also what careers are booming. So does anybody know anybody that recently got a CDL? I know a bunch of people who got CDLs,
Oh my God.
Oh, commercial driving license.
Yeah.
For like a truck advance.
Yeah, there's a couple of women on TikTok that I follow, so I think it's kind of interesting. They'll talk about experiences or, and it's really see a lot of the country. Okay, so essentially, and then I know I showed you guys this, but don't forget about it. It's that Gale in context. It has all like you can browse different issues, looking for topics. Okay, so let me go back to the PowerPoint. These are the different topic areas. So let's take a moment and just stop and brainstorm. Okay. You can do your informative speech over a person. You can do it over a place, right? Objects and phenomenon. So like if there's something like, when I think about objects and phenomenon, it's like things anywhere from like the Bermuda Triangle to like, why does this happen, right? So events, if you want to talk about an event. So I love it. For my second class, I brought, I had a couple of event bags. So I used to love to go to the Essence Music Festival. I used to love it. And then that movie Girls Trip came out, and you're ruining the whole event. Like it's so expensive to go now, and it's I'm not sure, I haven't been since the whole COVID thing, but like it's packed. Before it was like busy, it's a festival, but it never felt like you couldn't like move around. So that's an event. You could do any event that you want to talk about. Processes. I had a student do the extrusion process. She worked for a company that made plastic bags here locally, and she just kind of walked us through the process. Concepts. If there's anything you want to talk about as far as like ideology or like just basic like concepts. It could be something you're learning in a different class. Issues, be careful, don't try to solve it, just point out that it's an issue. I've got one student doing DART just changed up its routes in Dallas or whatever, and they're just talking about how like not efficient it is. So it's an issue, they're not gonna try to solve it, they're just gonna talk about it. And then plans and policies, this is all about self-explanatory. So it can be city, it can be governmental, it can be something that's, local or in our backyard. Okay. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to brainstorm some topics. So I just gave you guys a couple topics that I found the last couple of days. I've been saving them on my phone too, but I just want to take about 10 minutes just to brainstorm some topics.
How long are the presentations supposed to be?
5 to 7. Y'all have to take a look at the assignment. Let's take a look.
Is this the same informative presentation we were thinking? You said we could like tell you our topics for last time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not-
Okay, so here's the important speech assignment. It's 150 points, so it is like weightier than that first speech you guys did. Here, I guess this looks good enough. Just basic requirements. I put some examples on where your topic can come from. Okay, make sure it's not persuasive. That's the biggest mistake that I see students do is they try to do a persuasive speech where they're informative.
Can we include videos in our presentation?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just make sure it's not the bulk of your presentation. So like a fourth of your speech.
I'm doing mine overseas.
Question?
I'm sorry. Give me a sec. Why? I was gonna say, do we need an outline for this
Yes,
one?
you'll turn it into outline. That's why we annotated that other outline. That outline that we annotated, follow that as your example. Okay? So outline, works cited, and then we're gonna talk about how many sources you need and stuff like that. Question? No? Okay, so each to historical, current events, creative work, just remember
I hate
you're
you.
just giving us information for this first one. Okay, basic time is 5 to 7 minutes. You wanna make sure to rehearse your speech at home so you know about how long it's gonna run. You need 5 sources total. 3 of those sources need to come from the TCC databases. So we're gonna talk about researching. That's one of our steps. We're gonna research next week. Your topic was supposed to be due, if you look on the schedule, it was supposed to be due this week, right? So we're not turning those in. We're gonna take test 1 instead. But try to have your topic for next week so that when we're researching, right, you're actually doing it, getting some work done, right? You have the topic you really want to use. Okay, so 5 sources total, 3 should be orally cited. We're gonna talk about that. You're gonna hear some examples of sources. .com sources will not count toward your overall 5, right? I'm not an internet hater. It's just, I don't wanna test your internet, researching skills. I'm assuming you guys have that. I want you to show me what you can do in the library using library sources, okay? So you're welcome to have them, but they won't count for your 5, okay? And then try to vary up the types of evidence or the types of sources you're using, or how you're using your sources. So, stats, examples, testimony, that sort of thing. You just want to vary it up. Okay, this next part talks about structure. For me, structure, outlining, and organizing all go together. So make sure your outline should contain an introduction, a body, conclusion, transitions, and a pre-planning section. So that's pretty much that whole outline that we went through. Okay. And then for this one, you need a visual aid, at least 4 slides, including a cover page. We won't have time to talk about visual aids before this next speech, but in general, there's a reference sheet you can look up for just basic guidelines. Some of you guys, on that first speech in my comments, I was like, your text is too small. So if I saw like glaring issues with your PowerPoint, I mentioned it on that intro speech, okay?
If we have access to it, can we use sources from the UTA database?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
You said intro speech, is it a culture speech on it?
No, it's for sure, like that intro speech was a type of informative, but this one has more requirements to it. Okay? And you can do whatever, topic you want as long as it's appropriate for class. Make sure when you upload your paperwork this time, it still has Blackboard, to change it over to Canvas, but make sure that's it. Like that's the PowerPoint you're gonna use, that's the outline you wanna turn in. Just make sure that, when you upload, you have it all together. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn in the paperwork before we go home or, head out on our vacays for spring break. So that when we get back from spring break, we can start presenting. Okay? And then what I'm probably gonna do is have you turn in your portfolio in bits, So before I was gonna have you guys turn them in the whole thing at the end, after we talk about the resume and all that. But I think I'm gonna have you guys do like the first 5 things. but before we go home for spring break, like, get a professional photo. How many of you guys have a professional photo? Yeah, it's something to get. Introduction statement, you guys can get that done. Career goals, those three things I think should be real simple to get done before we head out. Okay, so questions about the informative assignment. So your paperwork will be due for sure before we go for spring break, so aiming for about March 14th. And then I'll work on getting your calendar updated, because I'm gonna change around some of the dates on Thursday when you guys are taking the test. On Thursday, don't forget your 882 Scantron. 882. Okay, no questions about the informative speech. So basically at the end, you're gonna turn in, let me see if I have paperwork. Yeah. What you're gonna turn in, you're gonna turn in an outline. Make sure it's not a script. So you wanna turn in an outline like the one I showed you guys in class, and I'll show you some more examples. Make sure you don't turn in like a script, like an essay. Works cited with at least 5 sources in MLA format. And then I caught somebody cheating like back-to-back semesters, and I was like, okay, include all your sources. Now I'm kind of like, backing off a little bit. So just make sure to have your works cited and make sure to have your outline, okay? Okay, so you need a topic for that assignment. Make sure that it's something you can talk about for 5 to 7 minutes. Sometimes students, pick topics that 3 minutes, I'm done. So make sure it's a topic that you can find research on in the library. Okay, how y'all doing?
Yeah.
Y'all doing okay? Take about 5 to 10 minutes to brainstorm some topics. Let's see if we can maybe at 8:50 talk about topics. Okay. Deal.
Okay, so like legalizing weed.
I get that one, several times a semester.
Are we seriously gonna do
If I can find any sources on databases about it. That's why I asked about UTA's database.
I want to see if they actually have anything about them on there. Where do you go? Is it just the TCC website?
The library page.
It's not on Canvas, do you know? Or
There's a link to it on Canvas, I think.
let me see. I swear if this actually like some sort of article. Where is
Cause
it?
you severe emotional and
Severe confusion is more like it.
socioeconomic damage.
You built right the socioeconomical damage.
Something like
What the heck? Can't find it.
See if everybody can get at least two, and y'all can work as a table too.
How do you access the TCC library database?
If you go to the library homepage, and then
He's an
I just
actor
went
now.
under TCC article databases, opened it on the right, and I found even, Gale in context, opposing views, global issues, any of these will work.
Okay, they don't have anything on Stephen He specifically. And 3 of our sources have to come
From the database.
from a database.
Right, any one of them.
Do any of them have to come specifically from TCC or? Okay, awesome. Just TCC data library base kind of sucks. Like a lot. For our portfolio, can we pull stuff if we've already kind of created like a portfolio for this? Like, is it okay if I pull stuff to make this for stuff like this from LinkedIn? Okay.
And I think doing that helps that whole brand aesthetic, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let me show you 3 topics that I think are kind of intriguing. I forgot to mention Business Insider, so this article caught my attention. E-commerce giant Alibaba employs more than 200,000 employees globally. And so they just did an analysis on what they're making, so I thought that was kind of interesting if you wanted to compare them to other tech giants. And then here, I'm not sure if you guys have been paying attention to the Apple employees who are trying to unionize. So they've been doing it on Android phones. So interesting. And then, a couple of these big box stores like Walmart, specifically Target, they've introduced like specific designers, and so here is Walmart trying to do the same thing. They've approached a fashion designer to design in-house. So a new way of doing it. Here's another topic. Let's see. This one, I wish I could show you guys. Basically, copyright infringement has been in the news locally here lately. I'm not sure if you guys caught the news story. In Dallas Design District, there was a furniture owner who had a gingham print sofa, and some Swedish furniture company was suing her. They profiled them on the local news. And then I was watching this, Texas-based tequila, 512 is suing Kylie Jenner's 818 tequila. They had the 2 brands, when I was watching this news story on the news, they had the 2 brand bottles side by side, and they really did look similar. So it's supposed to be the brands, where the brands are made. So the Texas brand is 512, and to me, it looks like the logos are very similar, So just another topic. What did you guys come up with? What did y'all come up with?
Why people are leaving their jobs at such a high rate.
Yeah, like what is going on, right? And just give us information, which industries, so forth and so on. Yeah. Somebody else, that's a good topic. What you got?
Leadership styles and their effects on employee productivity.
I love that one. Yeah. And I feel like leadership is really an art. There's no one real, so it's a really good topic to explore. Anybody else got a topic? No? Okay, let's see. I was gonna play Hot or Not. Just, give yourself time. I know the test is on Thursday, so you guys are probably focusing on that. Give yourself time. When we get to a point, maybe next week, you guys can come in on Tuesday and I'll make an announcement. Just, as we kind of move along, just continue to think about topics and bring them into class so we can talk about them. If I see anything else in the news that I think might be good, every class is different. Some classes we end up talking about. I had a nature class last semester. We talked a lot about conservation and national parks, because that's what they were interested in, right? So this is the one class where on speech days, you guys pick what we talk about. You control it. So, take some time to really think about what you want to discuss, and then we'll play this Hot or Not with your topics on Tuesday. Okay. So don't be freaked out about the test. I'm passing my class that took a different test. They did really well, so I was really, really happy for them. So I'm assuming you guys will do the same.
Is there a review online?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it under modules or?
Yes, it's at the very bottom. Let me go back to our class.
I found it.
Found it. The only thing that's shaky on it are the page numbers. I didn't look the pages back up. The chapters are good, but it's right there for you. Okay. So it probably won't take the whole time. So whenever you're done on Thursday, you're free to go unless you want to talk about topics or something, So I will see you guys later. Are y'all as sleepy as I am? I don't know what is going on. I'm this weather's got me sleepy. Glad you guys made it. Let me check roll real quick. I appreciate you guys coming.